Fox News hosts and guests flipping their lids as the red wave collapsed, crumbled. It was like, you know, when you put cotton candy in water and it just disappears? That was the red wave disappearing last night. Check out some of these clips, starting with Fox News pundit Marc Thiessen saying this is a disaster for the Republican Party.
Just think about this. We welcome back Marc Thiessen and Harold Ford Jr. to the panel. We talked a lot about debates and when some candidates did debates and some didn't do them. Had the October 25th debate been September 30th, would this race have changed? Mark?
I think it might have, or maybe it wouldn't have. I mean, I think there's a broader issue here, which is that, so think about this. We have the worst inflation in 4 decades, the worst collapse in real wages in 40 years, the worst crime wave since the 1990s, the worst border crisis in U.S. history. We have Joe Biden, who is the least popular president since Harry Truman.
Now, none of this stuff is true, and I'll prove it in a moment.
Presidential polling happened, and there wasn't a red wave. That is a searing indictment of the Republican Party.
All right. So a lot of admitting there that this is a disaster. Brian Kilmeade with a similar perspective, repeating many of the same lies.
Shifted. And right now, Zeldin's probably within 5 points. It might be out of reach for him. There's no been concession there. You see there's some unhappiness. But I don't know about you guys. I'm shocked there was a no red wave. If you think about inflation, a 40-year high, crime, the worst since the 1980s, the unpopular president with an agenda that's more green-oriented than people-oriented.
Yeah. They are telling you all lies, okay? Yes, they are correctly pointing out the red wave failed. Credit to them for pointing that out. But let's fact check this. I love it. Worst inflation in 4 decades, they say. Reality, it's the worst inflation since 1989. It's 33 years. It did hit pieces of 4 decades. Maybe we give them a pass on that one. But check out some of these other ones. Worst collapse in real wages in 40 years. That would take us to 1982. That is very clearly not true. Median inflation adjusted, that's what they mean by real, inflation adjusted wages. That is not a chart that suggests now wages are at their lowest point in 40 years. In fact, it is very much the opposite. Very, very much the opposite. We're at a peak, not at the bottom. They are liars. They said worst crime since the 1990s or the 1980s even. That's also not true. Here's the crime rate since the 1990s, and as you can see, it has actually declined over that period of time. It has declined. Even if you look specifically, as we will do now, at murder-homicide, those rates have also declined, although they have very recently ticked up a hair, but overall, it is part of a downward trend. Worst border crisis in history, they say. Well, I don't know how you measure that. Is it the number of people you catch or that you don't catch? It is true that arrests at the border are up, but that means we're catching people. That means they're not getting in here. How is that a crisis? And importantly, nothing really has changed under Biden since Donald Trump at the border. And then lastly, they said Biden, least popular president since Truman. That's not true. Joe Biden right now is about as popular as Trump was at this point in his presidency, about as popular as Ronald Reagan was at this point in his presidency, within a point or two of Barack Obama and Clinton's popularity at this point in their presidencies. And by the way, were it not for 9/11, which buoyed George W. Bush's approval rating, Biden would be doing better than George W. Bush as well. That the reason Bush ended up with temporarily a higher approval was 9/11. Okay. Every claim is a lie. They are furious. Maybe look at reality. Historically low unemployment, stock market, GDP, all the indicators we talk about. And then maybe they would be a little bit less shocked. If you have a friend or loved one who is passionate about the environment, here is a perfect holiday gift. Our sponsor, Established Titles, is a project that lets you ceremonially purchase as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land in Edelston, Scotland, so that you can call yourself a lord or a lady like the historic Scottish tradition. Some people even change their plane tickets or credit cards to include Lord or Lady. Your title pack comes with an official certificate. You can see exactly where your plot of land is located. It makes a perfect last-minute gift. But most importantly, Established Titles plants one free tree for every plot of land sold. Established Titles does really good work all over the world with reforestation organizations like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. So you'll have a great laugh whether you're Scottish or not. I'm not. But you're giving the gift of reforestation to fight climate change. If you use my link, you'll get 10% off, and your plot of land will be right next to mine. You can see it on a map. Go to establishedtitles.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for an extra 10% off on top of their Black Friday deal. The link is down below.